Hello everyone, this is the Norse Witch. I am back with another video. So my next video I will be showing you guys all of my cards. I just kind of want to do a little fun video that I got a couple Snickers from myself. And this is the evolution of witchcraft from the early 90s all the way to today. And I'm about to take you back to the mists of time, because it's cool. So, back in the early 90s, I got involved in Wicca and witchcraft. And at the time, my mother was very open-minded about these types of things, because she was like, oh, I was always the black sheep of the family, and I'm the black sheep of the family. I took after her in that area. And so back in the good old days, there was no such thing as Etsy. There was no such thing as Etsy. There was no such thing as the internet. AOL did not exist. Yeah, you know how old I'm talking about. There was no smartphones. There was no mass bindings and hexes of politicians. Witches basically accepted things the way they were, as long as it didn't interfere with their own spiritual practice. So, you would go to a New Age shop, and depending on how well stocked they were, you could get practically anything that you needed. Now, things like zodiac candles, candles like I've got a candle burning right now. It's from Funky Cat Creations. It is it's for Scorpio. And then after tomorrow, I'll be putting it away and moving on. So anyways, so you could go there and get stones and incense and candles, not of every kind of variety. I don't think that the fertility candles, the phallus and vagina, were out yet. I do know the figure candles were in fact out during that time, and so I actually bought one and used it in a spell that I don't really remember what it was for. But I loved the sight of a burning candle. It was very, very therapeutic. So I essentially, my mother bought me everything I needed to start to have an altar. I did not have statues, because at the time I didn't believe that a physical representation of the god and goddess were needed. And there's a lot of people out there, they're like that. They don't believe in any kind of deity, so their altar is very much deity free. And back then, as far as I know of, they did not have non-believing Wiccans. Everybody came to the conclusion you have to believe in the god and goddess and all that type of stuff. Things have changed, though. You didn't have the term fluff bunny, and that term would come on later on down the road. Everybody assumed everybody was serious about their practice. And and I was born in a generation that still was religious, and for the most part. And it was one of those things that I loved. I loved the fact is that I was around people that were serious about their path, serious about what they believed in, and everything. So as time progressed on, and we get into the internet, and we get into being able to buy books online, and then of course we got into the used bookstores, you had more and more teenagers that were drawn to these sort of things. And with that came the clash between the child and the parent, I know very well about that particular clash. And and it was this tug of war, and we had the Satanic Panic and all that type of stuff. So if you were a teenager and you wanted to read about Wicca and you wanted to learn how to practice it, you pretty much either had to read the book at the school and hope that nobody checked it out, or you had to check it out and hope and pray that your mother or your father didn't catch you with it. So yeah. So you had to contend with that. So yeah. So you had to contend with that and everything. And it wasn't a happy time to be a teenager in the late 90s, because now there was terms popping up like fluff bunny and stuff like that. So when we get to the 2000s, after 9/11 and everything, about 2 years or 3 years after 9/11, my mother said, I don't want you to be practicing Wicca, I don't want you to be practicing witchcraft. And I felt like I had to go and put myself in the broom closet, and I had to hope and pray that my mother never found out that I was still practicing my religion. So, getting closer to the middle part of the 2000s, you had the introduction of Nook and Kindle. And this was a lot of teenagers who were being forced to hide their path and to hide their books. They saw Kindle and Nook as a way of having those books without their parents finding out, because they could easily just delete the the book once they were done reading it and things like that. I am pretty sure that a lot of teenagers, or some teenagers, had secret Amazon accounts. And they would buy, Amazon gift cards because it was, they don't take credit cards for the Amazon cards. You got to pay cash. So they would probably go into their account and take a couple bucks out and get a gift card and buy their witchy books. So yeah, and then I do think that the Kindle or Nook came with a passcode. I'm not sure. I never actually had to worry about that, because my mother, at this point, I was in my late 20s, maybe early 30s, and my mother was kind of like, I'm not that controlling. So I'm not going to go onto your little Nook and see what the freaking heck you're reading. Because she knew I didn't really read anything that was super, super, super bad, like pornography. I didn't, or I didn't watch pornography. So she was like, but I remember having to shut my Nook down because of the fact that I didn't want her to see what I was reading. But I do remember bringing it home. That was happy time. This was right before we moved up to oh yeah, it was before we moved down here. And I brought it home and I set it up, and I was kind of having a hard time setting it up, and my brother came do 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 do. I'm like, go away, Stephen. And then I would go and I would download witchy books, and I would literally be on the bus behind my mother reading my my witchy books, and my mother had no clue at all that I was reading witchcraft books, the books that she did not want me to read. But a lot of teenagers managed to smuggle a lot of digital books into their Nooks and Kindles without their parents knowing. So they were learning how to practice Wicca and witchcraft. And then Etsy came along. And there was witches, they were like, okay, cool, I can make stuff. I can make stuff. And I can sell it. But unfortunately for me, I couldn't do something like that, even with my mother's approval or support, because of Section 8. You cannot own a business while on Section 8. You can't. Because it will pop up, you know. So even with her permission and support, I would not have been able to do it. But I watched as, like, Etsy grew into literally an occult emporium of shops that sold like, they listed as curio items because of the Etsy policy, which is fine with them because, yeah, literally it is a curio item. But it is amazing about how much Etsy grew, as I said, into an occult emporium. You can buy stuff like this. This is a self-love candle from Funky Cat Creations. You can buy one of these, and you can have it on your altar and light it and bring self-love into your life. I'm going to burn that thing. I need some self-love right now. And, I mean, literally, if you could not make it, or you wanted a travel altar, you go on Etsy and get anything you want, which was absolutely amazing. But a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have progressed and evolved and adapted during this time, and it's pretty amazing when you think about it that you have an entire generation of digital witches that they'll do spells digitally, or they'll go on Etsy and they'll buy stuff off of fellow witches. And I think people really like the homemade or the handmade items that witches produce, because it's nothing like the shops in Salem where you don't really feel like the items are handmade. They're more like mass produced in some factory in China. But if you go and you get a carved statue of Hecate, you're probably going to get it from, I don't know, from Los Angeles, or if it's Frigga, you'll get it from the Ukraine. Really, this really does put I think, a huge bite into Bezos' thing. I mean, it doesn't appear like it does, but I think it does, because he literally does not have anything on witchcraft. He allows people to sell these items in his shop, in his business, which gives money to him. But it's just so different since the 90s. And I'm really excited about how it's going. And I feel it's going to evolve even more. And when I'm a little old lady with cats, that's my future, I literally am going to be at awe about how much more advanced things have gotten in the realm of spirituality and New Age beliefs. So I'm going to let you guys go. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Until next time, may you be happy, healthy, most importantly be safe, and hail to the gods. Bye.